Hello, welcome back. My name is Tom. I come to you from the great state of Maine. I like saying that because that's exactly how I feel about this state. There are so many great places to hunt and all of that. But this right here is part 4 of 12. This is a little series that I am working on throw everything that you know about deer hunting out. That might sound a little ludicrous, but I am a solo hunter in the largest portion of this state, so I have to have some tricks and techniques that are a little bit different. But back in episode 1 I touched on it, and in part 2 I touched on was your 2 square miles, choosing your 2 square miles. I have 2 or 3 of these 2 square miles. You don't have to have just one, but my point was for the new hunter or someone trying a different technique is to get a 2 square miles and figure it out like the back of your hand. Know it inside and out. Know absolutely everything that you can find out about that. And a lot of the times when I do that is in the month of January. I'm going to go month by month how I approach my deer hunting and my deer hunting grounds. But I wanted to expand on the 2 square miles because I feel that there was a couple of things that I left out. When you put in a trail, like I was talking about, I put trails in many directions out in my my hunting grounds. What that does is gets me from point A to point B faster. Some of them are big enough for a snowmobile, so that does help in the wintertime. But in the wintertime is when I make my trails. But once you've made them trails, here's what I want to expand on. Is when you're in the woods like that, look for blowdowns and look for, just your deer sign in general. And the reason for the blowdowns and stuff like that is once you've blazed this trail, the deer will start using it. You get out there and you look after you've made a trail, give it some time. Sometimes it doesn't even take that much time. Deer are not stupid. They will pick up a trail and they like an easy path just like you do. So they will do the same thing. And your deer, I place big piles of brush around my tree stands because I don't pull my tree stands in at the end of the season. I maintain them. I think a better tree stand is one that has been there for 2 or 3 years. It becomes part of the scenery and it becomes part of the deer's life. But anyways, they see your brush pile and they will move there. They will follow your trails and they will walk right by your tree stand, even closer than when you first put it in. So that is, you watch that. You will be surprised at that if you haven't already seen it. But that's one of the things that I wanted to expand on putting in your trails. And in your trail system, put in little lunch spots. Stuff like that gives you purpose for getting out there, because remember, 11 months of the year is going to be spent out there and only 1 month is going to be spent on hunting. So put yourself in some lunch spots out there. Put yourselves in some benches. I'm sitting on a little stool right now. It's a wooden bench made out of pressure treated. I make them out of rough sawn hemlock and pressure treated. It's whatever I've got. And out in my 2 square miles, there's at least a dozen of these things. I stain them up brown. It makes them last longer. I have been making these little benches for 25 years. Every time I get a new spot to hunt, I tote these things out in the woods. I hang them up in the crotch of a tree when I'm not using them. They last forever. They make a good place to hunker down. They make a good place to hunt out to, so that if you've got a ridge or something that you're hunting on, there's already a nice comfortable chair sitting there. It's just a 3-legged bench made out of lumber. I will do a video on it, how I build them. They are simple to build, they are easy to lug out, and they're just amazing to have out there in your little piece of woods. Because if you've got a reason to go out into your 2 square miles, it helps you to get out there, gives you a little bit more incentive to get out into your 2 square miles and learn it. So that's just another one of the things that I do out there, and I make sure that these setting areas are where I want to deer hunt as well as will be some comfortable spots out there. And one of the other things that I do on this trail system, and I haven't done the video yet, but I will be doing the video, is I have 6-gallon 5-gallon, they're 6-gallon buckets. They like a 5-gallon bucket, but they're 6-gallon. They have a threaded top on them. What came in the buckets was something for swimming pools. I don't know exactly what, but it's a nice clean bucket. It's got a super threaded cover on the top. I found them in a yard sale for $1 a piece. They are great. Like I said, I will do a video on those. But I've got right now in my 2 square miles, the one that I hunt the most, there are 7 of those buckets out there in different spots. What it's called is a cache. In the old days, we'd call it a cache. So I will do a video on what's in that cache. There is a top in there. There is rice. There is bouillon cubes. There's stuff to cook with. There's utensils in there. It all fits in that 5-gallon bucket. And then I have that hanging up in a tree, 20 feet off the ground. I'll show you how I built the bucket. I did spray the bucket green to camouflage it a little bit. Not that so the animals would not bother it, but so people wouldn't bother it. What that is, that if I'm out there scouting or I'm out there doing whatever, I can tote a little gun with me. I can be shooting rabbits. I can be shooting squirrels on my scouting. And once I get to these little caches, I've got everything I need to turn that squirrel into a nice little chowder while I'm sitting there. You know, I take the rice and all that, and I'll go through all that in another video. But these caches, they also have a top in them. So I have everything I need to break camp if I need to while I'm out there. But most of the time, I've used the caches just for stopping for lunch and having a great place. Because there's no sense in going back to the cabin while you're out there hunting. There's no deer in the cabin sitting next to the wood stove. They're out here. So even during deer season, if you want to hunt around, solo hunt around, it's nice to have these little areas to go to. It might be a mile or so out of the way, but it's a great way to either drive to by 4-wheeler or a great way to just hike over to where your cache is and break lunch, have your lunch, and then get right back to your deer hunting, because that's the best way that I know to shoot a buck, is to stay on the ground. I think in the military they call it boots on the ground. Well, deer hunting's the same way. If your boots are on the ground and you're in the woods, you're in a good spot to take a buck. So keep that in mind next time you think it's time to head back to the cabin to have lunch. It might be a better idea to stay right out in the woods and continue your hunting. Have a nice lunch while you're out there. Have a cup of coffee. Have some tea. All that stuff is in that bucket. That's just one of the things that I do with my 2 square miles. I turn that 2 square miles into my backyard, and I learn it just like the deer know it. So just a little food for thought. Like I said, this is part 4 of 12. So like I said, later on we'll touch on a few other things. And I'm also getting ready to go up and do some trimming up in my 2 square miles. So I'll be bringing you along for that and show you exactly what I'm doing out in my 2 square miles. So this will wrap up this little video, and thank you very much for following the series. I'm having a blast putting it together. I'm sitting here, if you heard a little noise once in a while, I'm sitting here next to the campfire at home base today. I thought it'd be a good time to come out and put episode 4 together for you. So thank you, and have a great day.